supervillains rule the planet.
We were systematically destroyed by a group of superpowered beings known as the Crime Syndicate.
They have the same superpowers as the Justice League, but with an evil twist.
Take them down.
They're willing to kill.
Hey everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to our channel, Paws On Animation, and our podcast.
And today we're covering another DC animated movie called Justice League Crisis on Two Earths. Oh, and don't confuse us with the other Crisis on however many Earths.
Well, this version shows the Justice League traveling to a parallel Earth that's run by a villainous version of the team called the Crime Syndicate. And even stranger, a good version of Lex Luthor needs their help to stop them. But
before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, and notifications of future podcasts and more pause videos.
And thank you so much for joining us today, subscribing to our channels, commenting everything you do. We appreciate you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And we really hope you're enjoying this year's Superhero Month.
Yes.
So, we were able to watch this and a lot of other movies free on demand when the HBO channel had a lot of content that was free to watch for a month. And we took full advantage of it.
Yeah.
So you're hearing this along with some other movies we watched at the same time. And we're grateful they were free because we never would have watched them, because we never would have bought them, and YouTube never would have had them, and they never would have been put up for free.
Right. Right. And they also were trying to get more people to watch these movies because of the Superman movie that was coming out at the time. So they gave access to their library temporarily in case they wanted to see all the animated stuff.
Now, not ironically, a lot of animated series and shows and movies had been removed by the time we got to watch this. And by now, all of it's gone, including Boomerang, Cartoon Network, a whole lot of things are gone.
Yeah.
And we're thinking probably these movies may be gone as well.
Yeah.
There's no way for us to know because we don't have HBO, but if you do, let us know in the comments.
Right. And this is one we have heard about for years. And they've made Crisis on Infinite Earth, Crisis on Earth X, Crisis on blah, blah, blah.
A whole lot of crisis.
Yes. And
crises,
they've done,
plural.
Right. They've done it on CW. They've done animated on live. They've done it so many times. But this was really the first one they put to an animated movie. It was the first of its kind like this. And for it being the first, we thought they did a really good job on this story, especially and wasn't cluttered with infinite versions and characters and stuff and trying to play spot the superhero game like they like to do now instead of writing a story. This one genuinely had a story and it was engaging the whole time.
True.
Yes, it was dark like most of the DC movies, but there was a story with it, so we were good.
And Batman was Batman.
Yes.
Like he should always be. So those of you not familiar with Justice League Crisis on Two Earths, it came out in 2010. It's considered a superhero film. It was directed by Lauren Montgomery, yes, of Voltron.
Yes.
And Sam Liu. And it was written by Dwayne McDuffie.
Yes. That's so good.
Absolutely. And it's based on the abandoned direct-to-video feature Justice League Worlds Collide, which was intended as a bridge between the DC Animated Universe series Justice League and Justice League Unlimited.
Really?
And it was reworked to act as a standalone story. And it was the 7th film of the DCUA original movies.
Okay. And these are that's from the series of films where people still talk about and remember these animated films, and they were also on DVD, which you can still probably find this one on if they're not on HBO Max. And stuff like this in Under the Red Hood and Doom and Flashpoint Paradox, they were some of the best interpretations of these classic DC stories because they are a dime a dozen now and they just kind of want to get you to watch because you know this and nothing more. But what we like about this, even the time it came out, even with Dwayne McDuffie at the helm, they made it interesting. They still made it fun in a way. It still made it action filled. Yes, they had their violence in there, and there's definitely some characters that don't make it, but it's not a bloodbath. It's not just senseless violence. There's point to the action and the somewhat violence in there, especially when you get to the Crime Syndicate characters.
True. Now, you can see the characters were designed by Bruce Timm, but also produced by he and Bobby Page, edited by Margaret Hull, and the music was made exclusively for this movie by James Venable and Christopher Drake. Had 3 production companies: Warner Brothers Animation, Warner Premiere, and DC Entertainment. It runs 75 minutes, so it's not long. But
No.
this particular movie borrowed from a lot of other content,
Yes.
including the 1964 Gardner-Fox Justice League of America comics number 29 and 30, entitled Crisis on Earth 3,
Yes.
and the 2000 Grant Morrison JLA Earth 2 graphic novel that had a heroic Lex Luthor from an alternate universe. And as you mentioned, this had been done on the lineup that they had of superhero shows on the CW.
Yeah.
This was one of the crossovers that happened
Yes.
during its reign. And I say reign because when those shows were on,
They
the
were
CW reigned, and it was great. And thanks to someone we won't mention, it was destroyed.
Unfortunately.
But
yes.
yeah, we had seen this, as you mentioned, so many times.
Right. And what we really enjoyed is that these weren't just copy-paste characters where they look just like them, but they're evil. And that's usually what they tend to do with the doppelgangers or the evil twin thing. They look like they're twins, but they have a different costume on, or maybe dark circles under their eyes to indicate they're evil. But I like in here that they're completely different characters. You can tell who they're supposed to be, but they have different names. They have the same powers with different names and different ways of speaking, ideologies. And they
And
truly,
dressing as well.
Right. So they truly were villains in here. And this Lex Luthor really was a hero, because they even had to check multiple times to make sure it wasn't him pulling something. And it was so strange for them and for the audience to see a good Lex Luthor and even a good Joker in here.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, he did prove this version is really a hero.
And Batman.
Oh, yes, and there is a Batman in here they call, I think, Owlman? I think is what they call him.
So this actually was released on DVD in February of 2010, and they released a Blu-ray copy later on, as well as a graphic novel for this particular movie. Sequel, Justice League Doom, was released February of 2012, 2 years later.
Which is also a really good movie.
But it did really well. It earned almost $9 million in home video sales.
Right, and then back when DC knew that the DVD sales mattered just as much as the theatrical sales.
And it was well received. It got a lot of positive reviews. The World's Finest stated that the film ranks up there as one of Dwayne McDuffie's better works.
It better.
In the animated DC world, and even though it's reminiscent of stories we've seen in animation before, the brilliant work done by Moi, the directing by Sam Liu and Lionel Montgomery, and story make it more than worth watching again. I'm sorry, I'm offended by that. Dwayne McDuffie, everything he did was better.
Right.
But the point is, it was well received.
Right. And we also like to point out, this is one thing I think was personally pretty funny, is that Crime Syndicate was basically Mafia Justice League.
Yes.
Because when you heard there's a character named Ultraman supposed to be the evil Superman.
I was going to say that.
And he has this Italian or mafia accent, and I couldn't stop laughing. It was like, they make sure that he was completely different from Superman. Not everybody had it, but I think it's funny that he specifically had the accent that you hear in the old mobster movies, and that was actually a cool detail they put in.
Now, 2 other things that were pretty interesting is Superman was the one who verified that this Lex was an alternate Lex Luthor because his organs were oppositely placed in his body. I thought that was pretty brilliant.
Yes, like literally the reverse.
And then we were introduced to some more characters. President Slade Wilson.
Yeah, who was actually good.
His daughter Rose.
Definitely gonna get into that.
Superwoman. And as you mentioned, Ultraman.
Yeah.
So they
Not to
were
be
some
confused with the
characters
robot.
we weren't expecting to see in here.
Yes. And when they are in this other universe, it really is a alternate, because it's not just, again, copy, paste, put them in different clothes. The villains are supposed to be the villains in here are actually good guys. And the ones who are supposed to be the heroes and they're the villains are truly villains. There's no in-between or gray area with any of them. And Slade is actually the president and not some crazy mercenary.
Right.
And what was interesting is that they show his daughter Rose, and usually she is, just as bad as her father in the main continuity. However, in here, she's just the president's daughter, but she does provide information that's actually useful. And one odd thing in here is that she ends up having, she falls for Martian Manhunter.
He fell for her too.
Right. And what was the issue for us is nothing was wrong with them writing it. It's just that her design is awfully similar to McGann in Young Justice.
Absolutely.
And this was made...
And that creeped us out.
And it was made years before they did Young Justice, which was off-putting. And it's no offense to them. They didn't know they were going to do that series when they did this movie. It wasn't even a thought. So it's not accusing anybody
but they
of
knew
making
when they
it.
made the series that this had been her design.
They had
and then
to,
they turned around and used it and made him her niece. Creepy.
Yeah, and I was like, if it wasn't for that, it would have been like, oh wow. But it was like, this looks like his knees. This is weird. And that was just off-putting to see after watching Young Justice.
So what I thought was pretty funny is Owlman, Batman's equivalent in the evil universe. He was the one who developed the weapon, the quantum Isengate device.
Yeah.
And I said, so he was even busy as a criminal. And Batman would not go to the alternate universe.
Yes, and you were thinking, okay, he just doesn't want to do the work, he doesn't believe them. You're like, okay then. And they spent a lot of time in the alternate universe for a majority of the film. Then you finally get to go back to the main one. And Batman was prepping for someone to come through that gate and to attack. And he called some other members that end up making an appearance in here to fight them, which I thought was funny. You think, oh no, he believed it. He just was like preparing, like he knew someone was going to come in here.
And what's funny is you would think Owlman would have had sense enough to know that.
The other time.
But Batman has sense enough to know.
Yes.
So Owlman was inferior to our
Batman. Of course he is. And what is actually interesting for Owlman, even though he's nowhere near as brilliant as Batman clearly, is that he is the one that goes more in depth of the multiverse theory. And it's more in line of actually of how some people believe when they study it, it means. For him, multiverse means nothing means anything. So he didn't care if other lives were lost in another world, because if there are infinite universes, there are infinite versions of themselves and people they know. One universe and one world was no loss to him. Even if he blew up the world they were in, it would mean nothing. He said, just go to another one. Nothing had anything. But I like in here, despite him saying that, and despite them being other Earths, they still have the message that the choices still matter. Morality still matters. The heroics still matter. It wasn't just nihilistic where everything was hopeless. There was still that theme of hope in here, just with Batman providing it than Superman this time.
Maybe that was the problem they had with Dwayne McDuffie's writing. He gave everyone a conscience, and he addressed morality and values and virtues, and maybe that's what these people did not care for in his writing.
Possibly.
But that was a component of everything that McDuffie wrote.
Yes.
So clearly they weren't McDuffie fans. This is not something that's better than his usual stuff. It's up there in quality with everything else that he wrote.
Heck, that stuff's even in Ben 10 when you watch the classic series. That component of what makes you a hero and doing good is in just about everything he wrote. And this was no different.
So it had a ending that saved the universe.
Yes.
And
both
then you mentioned Quick. I think he died.
Yes, and he was the equivalent to the Flash. And you start to see how and why he ended up. Yes, how and why he ended up dying in the process. Because Flash was going to do it, but he ended up doing it, and you find out
and
why.
And he didn't do it because Batman. Yes. Batman knew what was going to happen.
And he told him, you're too slow. This guy's faster than you. At first, he's like, an attitude with it. And you gotta mention Josh Keaton, the voice of Flash. You gotta mention
we're gonna
that.
get to that.
You have to mention that.
Of course.
Which is
a surprise. Thanks for ruining it.
Yeah, of course. I'm gonna ruin it. Because I had to, because it's funny hearing Cheryl be annoyed.
Yes.
He told me he was too slow. The other one was fast, and he was irritated with him, but he listened anyway. And he kept the gate open so long that he force-aged himself.
Yeah.
And he died. And they said that's why he didn't want him to do it.
Batman knew.
Yeah. So there was so much in there for each character. And it's only 70-some minutes. But so
75.
much was going on in here, and each character had something, and little bits and pieces were in here that it felt like you were watching a much longer film.
So if anyone doubted Batman liked or cared for Flash, you know he did, because he could have let him just do it and die.
Right.
But he didn't. He allowed the other universe's Flash to do it.
Yes.
So now let's get to the cast. We have William Baldwin as Bruce Wayne Batman, and that was a really odd choice.
Yeah.
I didn't know he had ever voiced Batman.
Yeah, or
I
any
was very
voice acting
surprised.
either. Yeah.
Mark Harmon was Kal-El, Clark Kent, and Superman. Chris Noth as Lex Luthor. Gina Torres as Superwoman.
Yes, which was a change.
James Woods as Owlman.
That was a shock. It's Hades.
Brian Bloom as Ultraman. I was really surprised at that, because I know who Brian Bloom is, and it really shocked me that he was voicing this character. Jonathan Adams as John Jones, Martian Manhunter. Josh Keaton as Flash, who he was credited for, but he was uncredited as Aquaman.
Really? He did too? Okay.
Vanessa Marshall as Princess Diana, Wonder Woman. Bruce Davison as President Slade Wilson. Freddie Rogers as Rose Wilson. James Patrick Stewart as Johnny Quick, credited, and uncredited as the Jester. Nolan North as Hal Jordan, Green Lantern, credited, and uncredited as Power Man.
Really?
Jim Messican as Captain Super, credited, and Archer, uncredited.
No way.
Carrie Warrer as Model Citizen, credited, and Black Canary, uncredited.
Really? Because they didn't have a lot of lines.
Bruce Timm decided to make an appearance as Uncle Super, credited.
Oh, that's funny.
And uncredited as Captain Super Jr.
That's actually funny.
Carlos Alazarki, Yes Rocco as Breakdance, credited. And
Oh my God.
Secret Service agent, uncredited.
Breakdance.
Cedric Yarbrough was Firestorm.
Yes.
And he was uncredited as Black Power and Black Lightning. Richard
Okay.
Green as Mr. Action. And Andrea Romano as the Watchtower computer. She was credited and uncredited as the reporter. So they had like a really
Cavalcade.
star-studded cast.
Yeah, back when it was fun to see a cavalcade of stars in the animated feature.
And they did an excellent job. Everyone was fantastic. in
Sure
here.
did.
Absolutely fantastic.
You weren't thinking these are celebrities. You were thinking
Yes.
they were being these characters. You really miss these types of movies they did where they were all unique and they all stood out, and you could talk about them all day.
If you've seen Justice League Crisis on Two Earths, let us know in the comments. Did you love it? Did you think it was a good fit for the DCAU? And if you've seen it, if you watched it when it originally released or now, tell us.
And if you haven't already, subscribe for updates that will give you for anime series, anime shows, and all things animation.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for joining us today and subscribing to any and all of our channels. We appreciate everything you do. As always,
You are special. Thank you so much for watching Mask Entertainment.
And I'm Mom Entertainment.
Have a fantastic day.
Peace.
2 Earths, 2 leagues, 1 epic battle. Justice League, Crisis on 2 Earths.
Nice place, Mr. President. I think I'm gonna like it here.